What's going on, everybody? Josh Taylor here, live from the Senior Bowl and super burnt, as you can tell. I'm at the Airbnb right now, so forgive the setup, the sound quality, and everything. It's not my usual setup. This is my on the road setup. But yeah, like I said, you can tell super burnt. But having a good time down here at the Senior Bowl, as always. It seems like every single day there's some news breaking. The last few days, we've been kind of waiting for this to happen. So welcome, guys. There's already some people hopping in the chat. We got some people live. Hit that subscribe button if you are not subscribed to the channel already. And then also, I will tell y'all you can join as a member on the channel for only $2.99 a month. I'll be dropping exclusive videos starting this week with some draft prospects, free agency, and stuff like that. Because, guys, we finally have our head coach, and we're starting to build out the rest of our coaching staff now, which we're obviously going to talk about. So let's get to some chats first. XXX Tentacles said Ron is meeting with the Cowboys next week. And guys, yes, Dan Quinn is the official new head coach. I told y'all here at the Senior Bowl. I talked with a couple people, but I talked to a certain ESPN insider at the Senior Bowl yesterday. He was just walking around. I have no idea why he wasn't on the field. But he was just walking around the stands, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to shoot my shot, shoot or shoot. And so I talked to him. I was like, look, the Ben news came out. The Mike McDonald news came out, and I was like, what's going to happen next? Like, if you had to guess who Washington's new head coach is going to be, who's it going to be? And he said, I think it's going to be Dan Quinn. He said there's an outside shot at Anthony Weaver. He pretty much, reiterated what everyone has said, including himself, like on Twitter, that Weaver interviewed very well. But he said it's crazy. He said, I'm trying to figure out like when it's going to happen or who it's even going to be, because no one had any idea, which is so different than what we're used to. And he didn't say that in particular. He just said that he had no idea. And that's kind of concerning. Like if this guy has no idea, then that to me like meant something. So that's nice. It's good knowing that like we are an organization that's being run the right way now. Like I said, when this guy is walking around, he has no idea who Washington's coach is going to be. Obviously, we were all surprised. But then he also told me that Mike Vrabel was not going to be the head coach, and he was not going to be a head coach at a lot of teams for certain reasons. But then also he told me that Eric Bieniemy was not going to be the coach. And he doesn't think that Eric Bieniemy is going to stay here this year, regardless of who is hired. There's a chance he could still stay as the OC, but this guy said he didn't think it was going to happen. I don't know what the heck's going to happen with Eric Bieniemy, honestly. But yeah, so Ron Rivera's gone, maybe to Dallas as their defensive coordinator. Who knows what's going to happen with that? I'm just saying that would be a fleece of a trade if we got Dan Quinn, and we'll talk about the news that just dropped a couple minutes ago. But if we traded Ron Rivera for Dan Quinn's defense, literally one of the worst defensive coaches, that's been around for a long time here. We had the worst defense last year by far for one of the best with Dan Quinn. Obviously, a lot of people want to talk about Dan Quinn. Got some thoughts on Dan Quinn. Worth Every Mile says, what's up, Josh? Dan Quinn to DC. Let's go. DQ to DC. And I know, guys, this was not the sexy, flashy pick, including myself. I was always hesitant on this because it just feels like, the retread label. You hear that whole retread label. And I think in this situation, and I'm not trying to talk anybody into this. If you hate the move, you hate the move. But what I said to somebody earlier, I had somebody ask me on Twitter, and then I had people ask me in person, like, what do you think? What do you think? I'm not going to be mad at the move until I'm given a reason to be mad at the move. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be mad at Dan Quinn for being our head coach when he hasn't done anything bad yet. Do you feel me? And once again, if you're mad about it, if you're going to be mad about it, that's fine. I'm not the fan police like some other people out here that do content. I'm not going to tell you how to talk about coaches. I'm not going to tell you how to react, or you can do whatever you want. You can spend your money on the merchandise. You can go to the games. You can sit out of the games. You can hate the coach. You can hate the players, whatever. You've seen me get in a fight with Cam Curl on Twitter. I'm not going to tell y'all how to be a fan. But my stance, and I want to hear y'all's, so drop in the comments. Some of y'all are. I'm going to get to all of them. Don't worry. But my stance on it is I'm not going to be mad. I'm not going to be hesitant, we're the same old Washington. We're the same old. That's not how I feel about this at all. To be honest with you, I don't even think if Bill Belichick was here, I would have felt that way. I think it'd have been more so towards Bill Belichick if he would have came. Like I would have felt like the same old Washington. But, and I get it, he's the defensive-minded guy. Everyone wanted Ben Johnson. Everyone wanted Bobby Slowick, somebody offensive. Then we kind of changed our minds. Like, all right, guys, we want Mike McDonald. Like, we just want the young guy. We want someone young and up and coming. And this was talked about a couple times today. I think John Kine was the one guy that brought it up. Shout out to Kine, by the way. He's the GOAT. Having a new GM, a first-time GM, and Adam Peters, who was at the Senior Bowl, by the way. I got super close to him. He does have an aura to himself. I didn't want to jump up in there and, video him, ask him some questions and stuff like that. That's just not me. I know you said I said that shooters shoot, but shooters also know when to pass it. And I decided to not just jump in. They were doing some videos, him and Logan Paulson and the team. I didn't want to jump in on that, but I just kind of was amazed from afar. He had that Nick Saban effect where you just kind of get goosebumps. By the way, look at this. You can see the burn. Good God. Pray for me. But it's a first-time GM in Adam Peters. So would it be smart for a first-time GM to bring in a first-time head coach? Maybe not. Maybe it is the better and the safe. Maybe once again, it's not the sexy pick, but more so just the safe pick of getting someone that's been here before, someone who's been a head coach before, even if it isn't the biggest, head coach name, but he did go to the Super Bowl. He did do a lot of great things with the Legion of Boom in Seattle. Obviously, a lot of big, name guys on the defense anyways. But then once again, what he did with the Cowboys, one of the worst defenses in the NFL, and turning them into one of the best, and especially generating pressure, generating sacks, but the most important, takeaways. Something that Washington just has no idea what to do. Like we don't even know fumbles and interceptions exist. So having Dan Quinn being able to come over and bring that here, and once again, I'm going to talk about other news we've had here recently, but I just want to hit on Dan Quinn. Shout out to Joe Will. Give him a follow if y'all haven't already. Joe's over here kicking with me at the Senior Bowl, burning with me as well. We got some people hyped up in the chat. Underscore Kenny, I'm going to mention this. We wanted Al Harris, man. What the hell? It's not too late. Shout out to Doug H. Hey, Josh, how's the Senior Bowl been? Great. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm going to go live with Rio tonight on his channel, just talking about some Senior Bowl guys. I'm so happy with how it's turned out because all these guys have been telling y'all to keep an eye on are balling out this week. So, yes, I'm trusting Josh Harris's process. I'm trusting Adam Peters' process. But, guys, I'm telling you, my process has not let me down so far this draft cycle. Super proud of how everything's just looked and how everyone's, been performing. Winner with the Quinners, something I've actually heard a good bit. And some of y'all don't know this, but I actually just dropped some merch on the channel like last week with my logo, like t-shirts, hoodies, stuff like that. But they also did some Let Adam Cook merchandise because when I went live after the Adam Peters press conference, people were blowing up the chat, let Adam cook, whatever. So I sent that out. That's on some merch too. I might do one winner with the Quinner because y'all have been hitting me with that all day. Bradley, shout out to Bradley Campbell, comes through all the time. Appreciate Bradley. All eyes on Clint Kubiak as our new OC. I'm going to talk about that as well. Keeping up with the Commanders. Is it over? I don't know who you're talking about. What you're talking about? EB? Because people are saying now you got to fire EB. Bye-bye, EB. In my opinion, I don't think I don't think he comes back. Who do you think they will go with at number 2? I think it's still too early, but if I had to pick today, it's going to be Drake May. But like I said, I'm going to talk about offensive coordinator. That really kind of determines things as well. Bradley said, yep, got to be Jaden Daniels. I don't know. There's still a long time between now and April. My choice at 2 might change, but I will tell you there's so many people that hit me up every single day and they say, Josh, we're going to trade back. I'm like, no, we're not. Or I had someone tell me we're taking Joe Alt at number 2. I'm like, no, we're not. Like, guys, a trade back. That's not going to happen, guys. I think we're going to go quarterback. Like, there's no way we trade back. And people are saying, oh, get Penix, get whoever. Like, no. First off, these quarterbacks have looked pretty bad here this week. Cowboy fans saying Ron ain't that bad. Yeah, there's Cowboy fans that are saying it. And Eagle fans are saying it too. Talk about before they got there, DC just saying like, oh, Ron Rivera might go there. He values linebackers. But it's funny because they roast us every single time. Well, the Eagles don't, but the Cowboys, they see what that defense looks like. Like, oh, yeah, Ron might not be a bad pick. Like, come on, y'all. Who we thinking for OC? I'm going to get on that here in a second. We got some people flooding the chat. Just want to get to them. Like I said, guys, hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of people in the chat now. And then join the membership, $2.99 a month for exclusive stuff. You'll see all the perks on there when you go to my channel. And I'll drop it afterwards in the description too. I got a lot of big things cooking up. Player interviews, tape breakdowns on draft prospects, tape breakdowns on free agency, talking about contract stuff, more in-depth stuff. I'm going to just kind of do more member stuff, something I haven't done ever. I've only had memberships open for like 2 weeks. Let's see. I trust Josh and AP. I appreciate it. No, I'm just kidding. I trust Josh Harris too. And people were saying, oh, Adam Peters was going to be here yesterday. I looked for him yesterday. I didn't see him. But like I said, he was there today. He was there. Mayhew was there today as well. Chris Paul was there watching his brother, Patrick Paul, who's been balling out this week, by the way. Love Patrick Paul. So it's good that they are here, though. I will say that. There's not a lot of GMs. We've seen Ryan Poles here every day for the Bears. I'm trying to think who else is here. Dobbs from the Colts was here. But like there's not many GMs here, especially GMs going through a head coaching hiring process. So I figured I didn't think Adam Peters was going to be there yesterday. Then I guess today, I didn't think he was going to be there today either, because I was like, all right, maybe he'll come out for the game. Like they're doing stuff today with, the head coaching search and everything. No, he was there. He was at the second practice. I don't think he wasn't at the first practice. He was at the second practice though. Yeah, so let's talk about this. Clint Kubiak, you are a Washington Commander. Who is Clint Kubiak and why is this important? So, I'll start with the offensive side of the ball, and then we'll talk about defense and the news that's broke on there. But one thing that's been brought up is Clint Kubiak and his brother both are current coaches for the San Francisco 49ers. Clint Kubiak is the offensive passing game specialist for the 49ers. I know that sounds fancy. He's got 10 years of coaching experience, which is crazy because he looks super young. His brother, Clay Kubiak, who's been coaching for 4 years, is the assistant quarterbacks coach. And I want y'all to just remember that name real quick. But I'm going to talk about Clint. Clint is an important thing. Both of them are, honestly, because you do have the Adam Peters side of it. So with Dan Quinn, he's hiring his guys to help, come over on the defensive side. Like I said, I'll talk about defense after I go talk about offense. Dan Quinn's getting his guys for the defense, which is great because that defense is really good. They have a certain thing they like to do. The linebackers play free. There's a lot of pre-snap stuff, a lot of things that's going to confuse quarterbacks, puts his players in a situation to make big plays, whether it's getting to the quarterback, causing turnovers, whatever. He develops defensive players really well, and they're bringing that over here. That's great. Now, what about the offensive side of the ball? This is where Adam Peters is possibly, it's not official. We haven't signed anybody yet. I think the OC part might take a little bit, but this is where Adam Peters might say, look, I want Clint Kubiak to come over as the offensive coordinator and bring over that San Francisco 49ers style of offense. And just really kind of implement like that side of the, of the coaching. You got your guy in Dan Quinn. You wanted a leader. You wanted a guy that can get the best out of players. And I'll say this, for everyone that hates the hiring, I myself and a lot of people have agreed and said it as well. The team was checked out like after the Bears game. We just said we want these players to play motivated. We want the players on the field to play like other teams do. Like you watch other teams play and we're like, what is it that our guys are doing? Because it's not this. They're not doing what this team's doing. They don't look motivated. They don't have belief in what they're doing. And I think that is the biggest thing that Dan Quinn does bring out of his players. He motivates his players. Players absolutely love him. I was talking to Logan Paulson the last few days. If Logan does stuff for the team, he played for Dan Quinn. And he's like, yeah, honestly, I don't just like it because I played under him, but he's honestly a really good coach. And he's come out and said some really good things about Quinn. And like I said, him and Adam Peters will have like this little video that they did today. I don't know when it's going to come out, but they talked about it for a little bit. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I love playing for him. He was my favorite coach to play for. And it's like, I can't sit here and say and complain saying like, oh, we wanted our players to play motivated. I wanted them, to believe in what they're doing, and then get mad at the Dan Quinn hiring. Because like that was the biggest thing that was missing. I still believe that there is talent on that defense, not even just the defense, the whole team. I think there is talent on that defense, though, that hasn't played up to its potential because of the coaching that we had last year with Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio. I think there's just a big piece missing out of it. And I think Dan Quinn does fill in that big hole that was missing. And then also, like I said, just think about the defense. Think about the young guys you have on defense. Think about Forbes. Dan Quinn can be the guy that saves Emmanuel Forbes. Because I've said this for the last few months. What the heck does Washington do at corner next season? If Forbes looks the way he does last season, maybe you lose Cam Crow in free agency. Maybe you don't. You aren't able to sign a Snead or someone of that caliber at corner. You need help. And even if we don't have all first rounders and all big free agents at corner and safety, Dan Quinn's going to get the most out of these guys. Whether Cam Crow comes back or you replace him with a rookie. Quan Martin looked really good the second half of the season. Dan Quinn's going to help push those guys a little farther. So even if you don't build out the perfect roster in one offseason, it's going to look different. The roster is going to look, I think, pretty different. I think it's going to be drastic. I don't think we're going to get rid of like everybody, but I think you will see some differences in the roster. But just think about how much better this team, the current guys we have, could play under Dan Quinn. So that's all I'm going to say on Dan Quinn. But with Clint, like I said, I think Peters wants him to come over and just bring that 49er aspect of offense that we just watch and love. And you don't have to be the best, most perfect quarterback in that system like Brock Purdy. He has his flaws. No one is saying he's Tom Brady. No one is saying he's Patrick Mahomes. You don't have to be the perfect quarterback in that situation. Yes, the defense is really good. Yes, they have a lot of talent. Yes, they have the best running back in the NFL. They have a Debo, Brandon Ayuk. They have a Kittle. But we're going to build out that roster. That's what Adam Peters is here for, to build the roster. And people are saying, oh, Quinn's going to, draft players too. No. John Keim said it in his article. I highly recommend y'all go read it. Adam Schefter tweeted it out, and then so did John Keim. So there's no reason not to go read it. It's plain as day that Adam Peters is the guy that is going to be building the roster, taking care of all the salary cap stuff. We don't know what they've said. Mark Mayhew is going to be here on this team. We don't know what that label looks like. We don't know what his responsibilities are. Even if it's just like scouting, like head of scouting, whatever, player personnel, whatever, fine. At the end of the day, Adam Peters is the guy building the roster. Dan Quinn is just the guy getting the most out of that roster. And that's fine. What's going on, Radar? Let me catch up on some of these chats because there's a lot of them. Frost40 below says OC will be the biggest move. Absolutely. And I said this a couple of weeks back to somebody, even before we had any idea. I said, even if it isn't Ben Johnson, even if it is Mike McDonald or any kind of defensive or neutral coach, how much of a responsibility is it on the head coach to develop the quarterback? Not much. Maybe if you were to get an offensive-minded guy like a Ben Johnson or whatever, we can still do that like they did in Houston. It's an example you hear a lot. They did it in Houston this year. D'Amico Ryans balled out as a defensive-minded head coach. And then Bobby Slowick has done a great job getting the most out of C.J. Stroud this season. You can do that as well. It doesn't have to be just one guy, the head coach, developing a quarterback. Shout out to Ranger Teach, my boy Range. People just want to look at the last game with the Cowboys and bash them for it. That Packers team was like in baseball when a team is hot. Like, think about the Nationals team when they won the World Series, when they were just hot. You don't have to be the best team in the world. You don't have to have the perfect roster once again. You just got to get hot at the right time. And the Packers were hot. I'm not going to have one game against Quinn where I'm just like, oh, yeah, I've seen enough. That's it for me. Quinn's not the guy. Blah, 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 blah. Like that. That's not fair. You can't sit here and roll out all these games and just say, oh, but that last one was enough for me to not get excited about it. Joe said Adam Peters has so much moxie. I'm telling you, the dude just radiates aura. I was shook. I don't even know if I could talk to him if I did meet him. Any chance we get Al Harris to come over here? And this is something, I want to talk about as well. So he has to get some kind of promotion, and forgive me for checking social media because I just want to make sure we're up to date on everything as we're live. But he has to have some kind of promotion for the Cowboys not to block it, not to go against it. Now, I talked to a couple people today that I know that do some Cowboy stuff, and then also did some research of my own. And it really did seem like Al Harris wasn't going to be the guy to get promoted. It sounded like Joe Witt Jr. Was going to be the guy that ideally was going to be promoted to the Cowboys' new defensive coordinator. Everyone wants to say, oh, it's going to be Al Harris. It's going to be Al Harris. A lot of people I talked to said they really believe that Joe Witt Jr. was going to be the next guy in line. And then you could have Al Harris, stay at what he was or move up to Joe Witt's position. He was the passing game coordinator, so he can move up to that position. That's still a promotion for him. I didn't hear a lot of people say Al Harris is going to be the defensive coordinator. Like, it's a sure thing. And it's kind of solidified when you hear like Ron Rivera's name coming up. Like, why would you not go in-house first, And that's the case right now is now that we did, Aaron Wilson said they are expected to. It hasn't been official yet, but it's heading that way. I don't see why Dan Quinn can't get his guy over here with a big promotion like that, by the way. Joe Witt Jr., Cowboys passing game coordinator, is expected to become the Washington Commanders defensive coordinator. So does that mean that Al Harris is just automatically going to get promoted to DC over there? I don't think so. I don't think it's a surefire thing. And not until I see that Shefty tweet or whoever pop up saying that it's there. Like I said, they're still looking at outside. But I do know that Al Harris said, I want to say it was on Adam Schefter's podcast or something, that he would follow Dan Quinn wherever. He said, I would follow Dan Quinn to Alaska. I don't think that the whole title thing is huge for Al Harris. I think it's about just being with this guy. Now it's two guys. Now you have two guys in Washington that was there in Dallas. Is he going to be tempted to stay in Dallas, get that promotion defensive coordinator if they offer it to him? If, once again, hasn't come out yet. If, because he has his players there, that's his posse. But he's talked about it. He's open to leaving. He's openly said, I will go wherever Dan Quinn goes. So what happens is Washington has to give Al Harris some kind of promotion. And that's where I think they, like I said, he's only the DB coach right now. So it is possible to get him some kind of promotion. I think you offer him the passing game coordinator / assistant head coaching position. And in my opinion, I don't know the job tree of the NFL when it comes to special, like passing game specialists or passing game coordinators, assistant head coach. If that, Adam Schefter tweet has something to do with Raheem Morris. If that / assistant head coach is enough to be where we could bring him over here so that the Cowboys don't block it. But if they're not planning on promoting him to DC, then he kind of has his own free range. But even if they are, is he willing to jump over here with Dan Quinn like he said he was? Because, the Ravens have Anthony Weaver as a D-line coach / assistant head coach. So it doesn't have to be like some big name coordinator or specialist that is your assistant head coach. It just has to be like your guy, the guy that like your right-hand man. And I think Al Harris could be that right-hand man for Dan Quinn, just like Joe Witt Jr. is going to be as the defensive coordinator. DQ changed the Cowboys defense and made it elite. Absolutely. Like I'm telling you guys, like we need that. Regardless of who the head coach is going to be, we needed a better defense. We need a better defensive coordinator. I was like, look, get Mike Vrabel over here, get like whoever. But like I said, Mike Vrabel was not going to be anywhere near this team because of his history. Let's see what else we got. Turnovers. Yes. Got to coach up Forbes. All eyes on potential OC Clint Kubiak. So like I said, guys, I think Adam Peters would love to get someone over here from that. Now, I said, remember Clint Kubiak's name, but also remember Clay Kubiak. So imagine this. You have Clint Kubiak come over here. He's offensive passing game specialist for the 49ers. Have him come over here as the offensive coordinator. I know that's kind of a jump, but still, you're bringing over that 49ers offensive style here. And then you hire his brother, Clay Kubiak, to be the quarterback's coach, where they can work together. So you have your quarterback's coach, and then you have his brother as the offensive coordinator. They're implementing that 49er style of offense with a rookie quarterback, which they have done before. And just they have learned throughout this whole process how to really develop a rookie quarterback, especially with the Brock Purdy, who was the last pick in the draft, who had some really good trades to him coming out of the draft, by the way. And Adam Peters actually had a video when they talked to him of how like picking him in the last pick of the draft, like they were hyped. Like he was like breaking down like what he liked on Brock Purdy. He's like, yeah, he's got a lot of traits that we like a lot. Just a lot of good nuggets. So like from a talent evaluating aspect, I love what Peters brings. But I think Clinton and Clay working together with a rookie quarterback and then just merging it into that offense, it's a smooth transition. And once again, it fits that whole Josh Harris, Adam Peters, like everyone's aligned. Everyone's together. Everyone's got the same, everyone's just ready. Like they're all on the same page. That aligned vision, guys. And I think that really fits. Now there's some other potential people out there for offensive coordinators, but I think that's like the most obvious one. And Keim also brought up that Clint Kubiak was the QB coach for 2 years in the OC for Minnesota when Rick Spielman was there as the GM. So obviously Rick Spielman is in like this committee of hiring coaches and stuff for us right now with Bob Myers and them, which I don't know how long they're going to be around. That's a good question to ask, by the way. But let's see what all we got here. The radar says Adam Peters got swag though. Yo, Adam Peters was rocking the black on black Washington logo hat, had the black pants on, had his puffer jacket on. Like my dude was ready to go. I was like, we haven't had this kind of aura in Washington ever. Let's see. If Marvin Harrison Jr. shines at the combine, we need him at 2. He would be amazing, but we need a quarterback more than anything. Prophetic now. A couple people have actually said this. OC Tanner Ingstrand, Lions system expert. I guess so, but once again, it's just like what ties like do they have to the current guys? Like what do they fit that, aligned vision of Josh Harris and Adam Peters? Let's see. Oh yeah, so Jahan Dotson also came out today. Love Jahan. Obviously played at Penn State with Micah Parsons. Parsons said a quote a while back saying like, you never know, Dan Quinn, whenever he leaves, he might take me with him. And Jahan was like, we will gladly welcome you here with open arms. But also, Micah Parsons talks so highly of Dan Quinn. And Micah's a very vocal guy. He has a podcast, with us at Bleacher Report. I love Micah. Love watching him at Penn State. He's a beast. There's some questions with him, but still, he's a heck of a player. He's a damn good player. I would love to have him in Washington. But when someone of like that high of a caliber, especially like arguably the best player in the whole team, just comes out and like says like how much they really do appreciate Dan Quinn and how much they love playing for him and just how he really gets the best out of him. Like that goes a long way for me. Like I don't really recall a time anyone here has ever been like, yeah, I love how Jack Del Rio does this. I love how, Ron Rivera just, I'm going to follow him anywhere. I promise y'all, nobody was saying that here. It's not a shot at any of those guys. But I saw some people also asking me about Kingsbury. I think he is going somewhere else. Bradley said Raiders are getting Cliff Kingsbury, which I haven't looked at yet. But there's I have certain feelings about Cliff. Would he be a great offensive coordinator? Possibly. Would it be my first choice? No. And I have a couple reasons. I would much rather go the Kubiak route. Both of them. Like I said, bring both of them over. I think that would be a great move. Shout out to Merle. Merle's my MVP this week. Really put me on with Wiley. So shout out to Merle, one of the members. Like I said, guys, you can join for only $2.99 a month. you'll start getting a lot of stuff this week. I'm also doing giveaways every single month. I'm giving away 2 jerseys when I go to the NFL draft in April. If you're going to the draft, hit me up. Let me know, by the way. Love seeing people. Been meeting a lot of people here at the Senior Bowl. But I will be at the draft. Forgive me for this train that's going by right now. But Merle put me on for Wiley, the tight end at TCU, and he's been balling out this week. But Merle says, I see Chip Kelly as offensive coordinator. And, once again, I don't hate that. The thing with Chip Kelly, though, is, I just remember, 2012, read option, back when it was getting big. You had Russell Wilson. You had Cam Newton, I think, was around there. Obviously, RG3. I'm trying to think who else was running, the triple option a lot. But, Chip Kelly was one of the guys. He was one of those guys, came over from Oregon, very offensive-minded guy. I'm not against Chip Kelly just because he does have experience. But once again, it's would he fit well here? Now, there was talks that Dan Quinn was targeted to go to Seattle, go back to Seattle before, Mike McDonald and everything happened. And they said if he did, his offensive coordinator target would likely be Chip Kelly, keep that as a name to watch. So I'm not ruling that out. So Merle, that's a great point. I think Chip Kelly's definitely the second name to watch. I think the Kubiaks because of Adam Peters, like I mentioned many times. And I think Chip Kelly more so because of the Dan Quinn. Like I said, that was the duo that was planning on going to Seattle. That's what was talked about by a couple of people a couple of times. He says, do you like the DC signing? I do. And like I said, the people that I talked to about 2 or 3 people today, a couple of people at the Senior Bowl, texted a couple of people that I know, do some Cowboy stuff, and then just did some research just on the possibility. Because a lot of people have expected that Dan Quinn was going to be gone somewhere. It was a slim chance that he was going to stay. Now, towards the end of the process, it looked like, hey, maybe he is going to stay as a DC. And he said he would go back as DC if he didn't get a head coaching job. But there was articles. Dallas Star put something out, I want to say. But like I said, just the people I talked to, they, once again, weren't saying, not one person I talked to said, yeah, Al Harris is the given guy, to where he's just going to automatically get that position. It was well known from everyone that Joe Witt Jr. was probably the next guy in line. They thought he was going to get the promotion to DC. So I think we pretty much stole their DC. Probably gave them Ron Rivera. So that's a 2-for-1. So yeah, I like the DC signing. I really like that he's able to bring over his guy to implement his style of defense. That blueprint's going to be brought over here. That's what excites me the most about this whole thing. And I said it when I was at Senior Bowl practice. I said it to Mason, and I said it to Joe, I think, too. The head coaching hiring is big, but the defensive, coordinator and offensive coordinator hirings are probably more important. And I think they nailed the defensive coordinator hiring for sure. Joe Witt Jr. was one of the top 2 guys for me. There's a couple other guys, but once Dan Quinn came out, I was like, it's either got to be Al Harris or it's got to be Joe Witt Jr. Honestly, either one of those guys have been a home run. Patriot Clip says we hired Dan Quinn as their HC. Dallas might hire Ron Rivera as their DC. One team does a coordinator when they see one, other team is us. First off, I'm glad Ron Rivera wasn't just brought down to defensive coordinator. That would have been awful. He needs to just not be on this team anymore. But if Dallas gets Ron, cool, run it. Shout out to the Cowboys. Good luck. Dallas House is on the fire flipping the tables. The hiring makes sense, just very optimistic. And I agree with Braden. Once again, this was not the hiring that was going to get us excited, start the Ben Johnson 2024 train. This is the guy we all wanted, Ben Johnson. And we all talked ourselves up. But I also think that us as fans did this to ourselves too. Yes, we were told he was favorite. You see all these betting odds, you see all these things going on, and we just kind of presumed that this was the guy. So we hyped ourselves up yes, we got Ben Johnson. But once again, people have said it, and I think it's not a talking off of a ledge thing. It's just a fact to a lot of people. Once again, I've talked to a couple other people about Dan Quinn. He was a top 3 target in this hiring process. I do think, though, that Washington really, really did want Ben Johnson. And they just weren't expecting him to back out at that second. But they had no problem going with Dan Quinn. I also think that maybe the whole Ben Johnson thing wasn't as perfect as us fans kind of envisioned. Like maybe the interview didn't go 100%. Maybe they didn't agree with how much money he wanted. Maybe they didn't agree with certain things he wanted to do. That's okay. If Dan Quinn is the guy that Adam Peters walked out of there saying, like, that's the guy I want here, like, this is the guy that's going to do what I want to do, then that's fine. Let's see. VA All Day says, please do something with your audio. You got truckers out here who have to listen to the videos and can't drown out the cat C16 screaming down the highway. Good content, great hire. I apologize, guys. Like I said, this is not my usual setup. I'm usually back home in my quiet apartment in Austin, Texas, with my very expensive microphone, not this cheap Yeti. People have talked to me about doing just a podcast version of stuff. Done that before. It's a lot of work, not a lot of payoff. But if once I hit like 5K subs on the channel, maybe I'll do like an audio version of stuff. But right now, YouTube's the way for me. So appreciate tuning in still. Be safe out there. People are crazy. Ben says, I wonder if Dan will call the defensive plays. I think he might, but at the same time, this is why bringing your guys big, because you can trust him to call the defensive plays. You're not worried about like, oh, I have to be the guy because I don't know what this guy's going to call. You brought your guy from Dallas. If he calls the plays, he calls the plays. Like, that's fine. But if Dan Quinn says, I want to take over, I want to have some kind of influence on that, then that's fine. Maybe Dan Quinn says, this is the kind of defense we're going to have here. This is the blueprint. Now you just, execute it. You're the defensive coordinator. You call the plays. You get guys where they're supposed to be. You coordinate. I'm the head guy. This is what we're going to run. You agree with me. You're my guy. We're on the same page. Now just execute it. I think that's how it's going to go. I don't think Dan Quinn would have to call plays since he brought his guy. What do you think they should do at linebacker? I think you have to get a veteran in here, a good one. It doesn't have to be an old guy. Like, it doesn't have to be Bobby Wagner or someone like that. I think Patrick Queen is on the table. I was talking to a couple people this morning about like some free agents and stuff like that. I think Patrick Quinn's on the table. But Azeez Al-Shaair is my guy. And I know Azeez Al-Shaair is Adam Peters' guy as well. He was a depth linebacker on the 49ers. He went to the Titans last year. Had the most tackles in a season by a Titans linebacker, I'm pretty sure, last year. But he only signed a 1-year deal. I say you offer him a 2-year, $12 million, maybe 13, 14 mil contract. You run it with Azeez, maybe draft a guy, maybe get another free agent. I don't know. I like this linebacker class a lot. I'm going to upload my interviews I did with the Senior Bowl guys here probably in the morning. I thought I was going to do it tonight, but then all this stuff came up. So but I talked to guys like Cedric Gray. He said Washington's super interested. They meet with every player. I mean, every player meets with every team while they're here. But when you have a player tell you they've met with a team multiple times, that's the ones you write down. That's the ones you remember. And Cedric Gray said he's met with us twice, and that was just last night. So he still has an opportunity to meet with them today if they wanted to again, or tomorrow or Saturday. Or, Combine, they're going to meet probably some more times. But the fact that Washington talked to Cedric Gray, one of my favorite linebacker out of North Carolina. Once again, I told you all about him last few months. And he said they had a really good conversation. He was kind of telling me like questions and stuff like that. I don't really want to share everything, but he said they had a really good conversation. And then Peyton Wilson, I talked to him for a good bit after practice and then at that media thing as well. And he looks really good. So I do like this linebacker class a lot. And like obviously not every linebacker's here at the Senior Bowl. Like Edgerrin Cooper's my number one linebacker. I would love him here out of Texas A&M. Jeremiah Trotter Jr., his dad played here. So there's some connections there as well. So there's some really good linebacker class. I think there's a chance you need a guy that can rush the quarterback at linebacker, but you also need just a coverage beast with Dan Quinn. So that's what I'm saying, guys. I'm going to start doing some more breakdown videos now that we're lining up the head coaching, defensive coordinator stuff. I'm going to start putting out some videos breaking down Dan Quinn's defense, talking about what he runs. I got a guy in mind, my guy Tuck. I'm going to bring him on the channel. We're going to talk Cowboys defense as much as it pains for me to say it. And then I'm going to go look at these free agents, and I'm going to pick out some guys. I'm going to evaluate these guys and see who I fits best. So that's why you should sign up for the memberships, because you're going to see some really good stuff like that where I'm breaking down film. And I'm telling you guys, every year I've predicted at least one player for the last 6 years. I've predicted one player in my final mock draft, not just like all the mock drafts I do. My final mock draft has had one player that Washington drafts every single year. I trust my process. My process looks better this year than it ever has, honestly. So don't miss out on that. Hit that subscribe, sign up for the memberships. It's super cheap, and you're going to get the best content ever. But I think you're going to see some changes at linebacker. Adam Peters is not going to come over here with, seeing Dre Greenlaw, who we got in the 5th round, by the way. Beast. Great evaluation, Adam. And then Fred Warner and say, meh, we can run it back with what we had last year. The Cody Bartons of the NFL. Jamin Davis, giant question mark. He's good at rushing the quarterback, though. So Dan Quinn can do some things with Jamin Davis. Jamin Davis can do some damage under Dan Quinn. I'll say that. I'm not saying Jamin doesn't have a spot on this team. I think under Dan Quinn, Jamin gets better. But you still need to look outside of Jamin. But I cannot. I'm going to start breaking down free agents like ASAP. I cannot wait. I was just waiting for this to happen so you know what kind of defense you're going to run. You're going to know what kind of offense. So obviously with the hirings, that's like I said, with offensive coordinator, if it is Kubiak, you have to wait till after the season. They got the Super Bowl coming up. It's going to be a while. So maybe in the meantime, we'll just focus on defense. Take a look at that once these things start officially happening. Like I said, Dan Quinn's here. The DC news isn't official, but it certainly sounds like it's going to be, unless something crazy happens. But there's a couple offensive targets, and I'm glad you said this next one, though. Lincoln Riley is not the offensive genius people think he is. I'll tell you, I've talked to a couple people at the Senior Bowl this week about Lincoln Riley because someone tweeted it yesterday in Washington. I forgot who it was. They said who were like the top like offensive-minded people in college to like possibly bring here, as a head coach or offensive coordinator or whatever. And I said Sark, Kiffin, DeBoer, and then I said, watch Ryan Grubbs. Grubbs was the Washington offensive coordinator last year, the Huskies, not Commanders, last year. Now he's Alabama's offensive coordinator. Now as soon as I said that, he's rumored now to be the Seahawks offensive coordinator, which would be killer. And coaches, this is another thing I was talked about a lot. Coaches in college want to get out. They don't like it right now. The coaches in college want to go to the NFL now more than ever. So just keep that in mind. I'm not ruling out anything offensive coordinator-wise. Maybe they do dip into the college. Maybe they do get some young up-and-coming guy or an experienced offensive-minded guy. I don't see them getting like a Lane Kiffin or a Sarkisian who just got like bags from their school. But there's some other guys out there. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but Lincoln Riley is not as good as people think that he is. That offense was a disaster this year. Like, I honestly felt bad for Caleb. Brent Henley says one thing is Dan will move his defensive line around in different spots on the line. Yeah. And you saw that a lot. You saw him. It wasn't just Micah Parsons line up on the right side every single play. Like, he was moving them around. Joe was talking about the news that came out when I was busy looking at some stuff. The Rams are planning to promote pass rush coordinator and LB coach Chris Shula. Maybe he's related to the Coach Shula. To their defensive coordinator per rap sheet. Shout out to Terry Lampkin, another member. We got a member chat here. Mark Bullock did a great job of chart of current coaches connected with Dan Quinn. Pretty extensive list. I'll have to look that up. Mark Bullock is a great follow, by the way, on the old Twitter. Merle says Chip Kelly downfall is when he got too much power like Ron. Yeah, I agree with you on that. So if he's just offensive coordinator, that's fine. Brent says hopefully they bring back Chris Harris. Chris got some interviews. I don't know what happened with them. I don't think he's staying in Tennessee. Maybe he is. I don't know. Radar says, Josh, I'm really intrigued with James Williams switch on linebacker. What do you think, bro? First off, James Williams is big. Like, he is so big. James Williams is the other safety out of Miami, by the way. Cam Kinch is the beast, by the way. I love Cam. I talked to him a lot last night. I was like, yo, you a dog. He's like, I know. I said, you better know. But James Williams, if he does switch to linebacker, that's actually a move I like. I forgot who it was. One of the PFF guys was just going through like measurements of James Williams, like saying like the percentile he'd be at safety and then the percentile he'd be at linebacker. Like he would be a giant linebacker. Like he'd be first off, he'd be a gigantic safety. He'd be a really good sized linebacker. Like I think James Williams switch to linebacker is going to be really good for him, especially at the next level. A lot of people saying Peyton Wilson. Yeah, Peyton Wilson is Quinn's new Micah. Dude, I'm telling you, I told Peyton, I was like, dude, you pop on that Louisville tape and you were in the backfield fast. Like he has a complete game. He said he really molds his game after Logan Wilson, who's a really good linebacker on the Bengals, by the way. I don't mind that comp. He's definitely more lean. I'm a Grizzlies fan, and we just traded Steven Adams to the Rockets for Victor Oladipo and 3 second-round picks, which is kind of crazy. Shout out to John Morant. That's my boy. He's from the same area, South Carolina, as me. Daniel Pitts. So this is something I talked about as well. Got to go big for a pass rusher in free agency. Give me Burns or Josh Allen and draft Chop or Darius Robinson in the draft. So Josh Allen is not going anywhere. He's getting a tag. Burns is probably going to get a tag too. So that's one thing that's really killer. A lot of these top pass rushers, you're going to have to look at like a Bryce Huff. You're going to have to look at an AJ Epineza, maybe a Josh Uche. Kind of fits what Quinn wants to do. Maybe my boy, Mac Wilson. Shout out to Mac. It was like that outside linebacker, like pass rusher coming off. But love Chop. Love Darius. I told y'all about Darius months ago. He was one of my guys that popped out. And then I told y'all back in Christmas, Adisa Isaac is going to have his name brought up all the time. And he was like barely top 100 guys. He's going to be a top 60 pick come April. You got Louis Riddick saying he's been the best guy here. He's his defensive MVP of the week. You've got guys saying he might go high second now. So I'm telling you guys, trust the process. I'm not going to let you down. Adisa Isaac in the second would feed families. I still think Chop goes first round. He should. Chop's just different. Darius Robinson is super explosive, super long. He can line up in a lot of different spots. He was a good talk as well. I got an interview with him that I'll be uploading. Brandon said, really solid linebacker class. I like it. You got every kind of linebacker you want. I think Adrian Cooper is the complete linebacker. Super fast, super instinctive. He does everything well. I would love to see Cooper in a Dan Quinn defense. But at the same time, same with Jeremiah Trotter. Same with Peyton Wilson. Same with Cedric Gray. Like I'm telling you guys, this is a really good linebacker class. Get one vet and then draft a dude. And you can get a dude in the third, fourth, whatever round. There's a bunch of other like linebackers I've never even heard of at the Senior Bowl that were balling out this week. Like these are guys I'm going to circle back around and watch practice of. Let's see. XXX, we got to bench Ben St. Juste. I don't know what's going to happen with Ben St. Juste. I don't think he's benchable, but he's a good depth guy. Joe says Peyton Wilson looked damn good this week. Yeah, he had some big plays. Brandon said L'Jarius Sneed would definitely be a free agent main target. If the Chiefs let Sneed go, first off, they need to be locked up. But yeah, I'm fine with paying Sneed whatever he wants. Like y'all wanted to give Ben Johnson a blank check. Y'all better feel the same way about Sneed. Because Sneed, that play on Flowers where he just popped that thing out, like that's what he did all season. I think he let up one touchdown this season, and it was that crazy catch by Shakir, like comeback route, like the outside, like right on the sideline with the Bills that one game. Like that's the only touchdown he allowed this whole season. He didn't allow a single touchdown until they played the Bills in the playoffs. Who benefits the most from Dan Quinn becoming defensive coordinator? I mean, the head coach. Honestly, the whole defense. The whole defense does. But I mean, I'd say the whole team. Like I said, you're going to get the best out of your players. He's going to elevate these guys, not just the defense, but I think the offense too. Like I said, I talked to Logan Paulson, played tight end, said like Dan Quinn is just that good of a coach. He just gets that out of his guys. And we heard there's a difference, and people say this is Ron Rivera 2.0. There's a difference between being a good leader and a good person that just gets, the most out of your players. And then the Ron Rivera was the leader of men. Like when you tell me that, it's like a youth pastor, like with a bunch of like teenagers. Like that's the vibes I got from Ron Rivera. I was like youth pastor with military experience that was just getting the most out of his teenagers. Like Dan Quinn, in my opinion, is like a guy who really gets the most out of his men, like his dudes. Let's see. Rashad Brooks, definitely good point. Once Ben Johnson was out, I figured fans wouldn't be happy with the coach. And I think people are going to come around, though. I think people are going to – and once, like I said, I'm not going to be mad until I'm given a reason to. If we're like a 3-win team, 4-win at the end of the season, and we just look bad, it looks like our players – first off, like we need new players too. Like I'm not going to be mad until I'm given a reason to. And if he's doing like terrible game management stuff, if he's doing questionable calls, if he's drafting – certain corners over certain corners, then that's when I'm going to get mad. Let's see. I have no idea what some of these chats are. Shout out to Brandon. Cooper is linebacker 1. Hayden, this is a good question. Did you go to college? And so what degree did you get? Hayden, I actually went to Coastal Carolina, and I actually wanted to be a teacher, believe it or not. And I changed my mind. And then I did graphic design. As y'all can tell, I love doing graphics and stuff like that. But first love was being a teacher. And that was like the worst decision I ever had. My friend is a teacher at a high school in Virginia. He's like, you don't want to do this. And I was like, say less. And I got out of Myrtle Beach because Coastal Carolina sucked. Coastal was great, but Myrtle Beach sucked. B-Russ, don't worry about it. He said flood in the chat. Snead is an absolute dog. I want us to draft Kinchins. We have him and Defoe. Kinchins, if you have both Cams back there, because Cam Kinchins is like a true free safety. Like he can do anything. First off, he can play any kind of safety role you want him to. But he's a guy that, we don't have on the team right now. Like you play cover 1 or you're playing cover 3 and you need like that single high safety that can just go sideline to sideline. Cam Kinchins is like that dude. Cam Kinchins is a beast. I love his film. Terry says front office Ron failed, Ron the coach. And that's another thing too is we don't know who wanted what, and it really did seem like Ron Rivera had like the control. Ron the GM, and it came out like he wanted to impress, the press conferences, win the press conferences, stuff like that. Like it's just a lot of ugly stuff. Like I think now we finally have an actual stable organization. Like there's layers to this now. Like Adam Peters is the guy. Adam Peters is the guy that's going to build the roster. He's going to get things right. I trust what he's doing. I trust him. I'm going to give him time. Just like when we draft Drake May, I'm going to trust him. I'm going to give Drake May time because he's going to need a little bit. Last little bit here before I wrap up. I got to hop on Rio's show. We're going to talk about the Senior Bowl, so head over to Rio's channel right after this. Citral, who do you think we will take with Quinn as coach, hoping Daniels, if not Caleb? I mean, once again, a lot of people this week just firmly believe the Bears are taking Caleb Williams. Like it's not even much of a discussion. There wasn't much talk of like, oh, who are the Bears going to trade with? Blah, 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 blah. Like it just seems like as of right now, the Bears are taking Caleb Williams, and I don't blame them. I don't think we'll trade for Justin Fields. I think Adam Peters, and they're going to get their guy, whether it is Drake May or Jay Daniels. I think that's like the only 2 options at number 2. I don't see a way where they're just like, oh, let's trade back and just pick another quarterback. I don't see that. Like I said, we got to really just find out who the offensive coordinator is going to be. But yeah, guys, let me hop off. Like I said, I only got a couple more minutes before I got to go over to Rio's show. So I appreciate y'all hopping on the live stream. Hit that subscribe button. Sign up for the memberships if you haven't already. Got a lot of big things cooking up. As soon as I get back to Texas, I'm going to start breaking down some free agents. And if the offensive coordinator news breaks soon, then I'll go live again. Do I think it will? No. Like I said, if it is like Kubiak or anyone that's in the Super Bowl, we're going to have to wait till the season ends to get that rolling. So you got a while, guys. So just kick back and just enjoy right now. Like, we had all this news coming at every practice while we were here, like Ben Johnson, and then Mike McDonald, and then Dan Quinn today. I'm like, all right, just hit pause. Like, that's enough. Like, we got what we wanted so far. The head coach thing's out the way. I'll just let Adam figure it out. Let Adam cook. Let Adam figure out the offensive coordinator spot. Him and Dan Quinn are going to talk about it. They're going to get their guy. So I appreciate y'all hopping on. Like I said, go over to Rio's channel. If you don't follow Rio, if you don't subscribe to his channel, I don't know what you're doing. Rambling with Rio. And I'll catch y'all next time. And I might do a recap of the game too. Watch the Senior Bowl, NFL Network on Saturday. It's either at 1 or 2 Eastern time. I can't remember because I'm in Central time. Appreciate y'all. Kenny, appreciate you coming by. Brandon, appreciate you, man. Terry, it's always a good time coming down here. Like I said, I'll be at the draft too. So big things coming up, guys. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.